You are listening to the Richard Schwartz and Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour. I am Patrick Wooten, joined by Alvin Armistad as well as Richard Schwartz on this President's Day, Monday, the 17th of February. We hope everyone had a fabulous weekend, a Valentine's weekend. So hopefully you didn't wind up on the couch, you didn't forget the day, and you had a good time. So I had the best. My wife actually planned Valentine's Day. We hit the Topgolf, which was fun, which was a good time, and so great entertainment venue here in Mississippi. What about you, Alvin? You're married, so how was your Valentine's?
My Valentine's was...
All right, get close to that microphone.
My Valentine's was I got the privilege of taking my wife out and spoiling her. She got a spa day.
Nice.
And I took her to dinner, and everything was peaceful. And for one day, I was a perfect husband.
There you go. Winner, winner. What about you, Richard? How was Valentine's with you and your lovely wife?
We decided to beat the crowd and go a day early out to dinner.
Yep.
And did our Valentine's a day early. That way, you beat the crowd. So it was nice. We had a nice Italian dinner. It was very nice.
That's good. I do chuckle. Like my parents, and I'm very fortunate that both my parents are still alive, that somehow have skipped giving any Valentines to me, but they send cards and cash to my daughters. So I'm like, how are you skipping a generation in this? I'm your actual blood, but the grandchildren are the one who get spoiled. And then we did the same thing last night. Our granddaughter and my son and daughter-in-law came over for dinner, and we had a huge Valentine's bag of stuffed animal and stuff for baby dolls and everything else for my very sweet granddaughter. I'm like, when did this happen?
This happened when you became a parent instead of one of their children. You got replaced.
I'm absolutely been replaced.
That's all it is. They know the kids are going to be around longer than you.
Correct. It's like we mailed a Valentine's to my daughter in college. We had a huge Valentine's for my 16-year-old daughter. I was like, this is like a whole nother day of Christmas during the year that my wife just goes over the top, and she does a fabulous job. But I laugh. I'm like, I don't recall getting Valentine's from my parents growing up. Now, I do remember I got some Easter gifts, because I remember one year I got this foldable shovel, which has always just stuck with me, which was like for camping purposes. You could fold everything down and attach it to your belt. I remember that.
Well, that's your second one. The military gave you one, too.
That's right, exactly. My e-tool. So I had my e-tool, exactly. But yeah, it's odd how Valentine's has become a gift-giving holiday for children or for grandparents to grandchildren. So just a different kind of animal that's out there. Well, if you'd feel free to join us, we'd love you to on the C Spire text line. You can tell us about your Valentines at 601-879-4395 or give us a call on the SuperTalk call line 888-808-8637. We're going to talk some law and some other things. Alvin is, besides being licensed in Mississippi, is also licensed in Louisiana. A whole different ball game when it comes to law in Louisiana. So we will talk some Louisiana law out there. I found it quite interesting. William and Mary Law School. It's in Williamsburg, Virginia. If you've never been to Williamsburg, Virginia, I would encourage you to go to Williamsburg, Virginia. It's a cool town. You've got Colonial Williamsburg. You actually have a Busch Gardens theme park there, which is modeled after Europe. It's the old country. Really good rides. I actually worked there one summer because I graduated high school up near there. So I worked at that Busch Gardens in Williamsburg, Virginia. But William and Mary is a really good college up there. Their law school inadvertently sent out acceptance emails to 410 applicants last week, including some who had already been rejected.
Uh-oh.
Could you imagine? I've already gotten a rejection letter, and then I open up my email, and it's, congratulations, you've been admitted. So then the law school had to turn around and send another email blaming it on a technological issue and saying, please disregard this acceptance email you got. I was like, could someone who'd been denied file suit to say, I got your acceptance email and immediately responded saying, excited to be a member of the William and Mary Law School?
It's possible. You've got a situation of an offer is when somebody makes you an offer. Basically, an offer is where somebody offers you something, you accept it, and that means that concludes the deal. So once you get the offer, if you accept it just like it is, you say, I accept your offer, I'm looking forward to coming there, then that deal is closed, technically.
Yep.
Now, if you try and change it or anything and make a counteroffer, that kills the offer. But if you accept that offer on its face value, and then you say, well, hey, I've already got my plane ticket, I'm ready to go, I'm starting to look for an apartment. As soon as I heard it, it just depends on the time frame. If it's like 2 hours, you could probably say, well, there was no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
But if you waited like a week or 2 weeks, hey, and they put all the wheels into motion, you may have an issue.
Yeah, it's interesting. Hey, Richard, I know you went to Ole Miss Law School. Did you apply to any other law schools other than Ole Miss?
No, I didn't. I wanted to stay in state.
Okay.
So I didn't go anywhere else.
No.
Gotcha. What about you, Alvin?
I applied to Wisconsin, got accepted. Oklahoma got accepted. LSU got accepted. Ole Miss got accepted. Southern University, and I applied to Howard, got accepted. The school I wanted to go to, I did not get accepted. I wanted to go to Stanford.
Okay.
But I'm glad I didn't now because I couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
I'd have been sleeping on the beach, walking to class, and taking a shower on the beach. But that was my dream school.
Gotcha. Yeah, I ended up I went to Mississippi College School of Law, which I loved. It's funny, the school that I really, based on the brochure that I wanted to go to, was Pepperdine.
Yeah.
It's right on the bluffs overlooking the Pacific. I did not get into there. Of course, my story's a little different. I literally signed up on a Monday to take the LSAT on a Saturday because I had no idea that I wanted to be a lawyer. So I took it one time, one and done.
Yeah.
Did fairly well, and then got into a bunch of schools, and then chose MC because it was in Jackson, and I love politics, and so I did a bunch of political stuff all during law school, which was quite interesting. But I thought this was interesting. Law school applications for the 2025 incoming class are up 21% this year compared to last year. How many? Okay, I got the number, so I want you and Alvin to guess. How many people do you think have applied to start law school this summer, Richard? Nationwide, how many people do you think have applied to start law school this summer?
I have no idea.
I would say 200,000.
High. I was surprised it was actually it's 52,000 people.
That's it?
And that's up 21%, which means that you were in the 40s of thousands, low 44,000 or so last year. So 52,000 people have applied to start law school this summer.
That's all.
That's it, nationwide. In the 109, that's out of like the 194 accredited law schools across the country. But I found that today. I thought that was an interesting stat.
Yeah, well, if you had the choice, would you be a lawyer or a doctor? Now that you've been here for a while.
Doctors go to school for so long. And I mean, the nice thing is both professions, especially what we do, we're in the helping people business.
Correct.
I love what I do. Being on this side, I don't get grossed out by blood or anything. My daughter-in-law is a nurse, so it doesn't bother me at all. My son was in medical sales for a while and was in operating rooms, so that stuff wouldn't have bothered me to be a doctor, but man, that's a lot of school. And I don't think my public relations degree in college would really transition well to medical school. Is how that would work with regard to everything.
I didn't like the math.
Yeah.
And it's a little too much. And what we do now is pretty much the same thing. And we do a lot of help. And the good part is you see it every day. And the people are walking around. You can talk to them. And, I mean, we've handled some bad cases.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me some wrong.
Oh, absolutely.
Some people that have been paralyzed and maimed and hurt for life. But we fight for them.
Mm-hmm.
When nobody else is willing to fight, we get down in the trenches and we fight for them.
Yeah.
And that's the blessing that we have. We actually are the voice of a lot of people that wouldn't have a voice.
Yep, I agree. So another interesting thing, bar exam. I know we're going to a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk about our bar exam experiences because California's got an interesting situation going on, and then we're actually going to talk about Louisiana law. We're going to talk about what is your case worth, what goes into that, Mississippi Tort Claims Act cases, because that's a really unique segment of the law here on the Schwartz & Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour, and we'll be right back after these messages. It's interesting. The California is offering a refund to the 5,600, which is a crazy number. 5,600 people are scheduled to take the California bar next week. In whatever company they have partnered with, it's been an abject failure, I guess, getting people prepared to take it. So they have offered a complete refund to every single test taker for the exam next week. That's just wild. I mean,
California.
But 5,600. I took the bar in 1994, and I think when we took it, we had about 300 people take it the summer that I took it here. When it was 3 days. My test was 3 days. Richard never took it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the old Ole Miss rule that went away.
Yeah,
but mine was 3. Now it's 2 in Mississippi.
Mine was 3.
Yep.
And the one in Louisiana is 5 days. So all essay, no multiple choice.
Yep.
I was like, okay. But the good part, it says 5, but you go Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So you get a break in between, and you have 27 parts. So you do like 9 each day.
Yeah.
And you've got to pass at least 7 of the 9 parts. Well, some of them is mandatory passing, but you have a couple of options. And you have 4 options where you only have to pass 2 of those 4.
Yep.
So if you pass 7 out of 9, you make it. But
yeah, and it's wild because the Mississippi bar passage rate varies in the summer. It's more people pass in the summer than they do in February, but still, it's usually between 60 and 70%. So sometimes you have 3 out of every 4, 3 or 4 people out of every 10 who take it have invested 3 years of law school, aren't passing the bar exam.
But now they do have 5 states where you don't have to take the bar.
I mean, which is crazy.
And then Wisconsin doesn't have a bar exam because they only got 1 law school.
Yep.
So there's some states you can not take it, but then you got to look at reciprocity.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, we know we got Bob on the phone. Good morning, Bob.
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, Richie, I think I had a friend or a couple of friends that went to Mississippi College, and they their program was 2 years long back in the day. Their law school was. And,
I think a long time ago you got credit for working for a lawyer. When you clerk for a lawyer, if my memory is correct, that's why the school was not accredited at the time. And I think you got credit for actually working with a law firm. And I could be wrong on that, but that's my best memory.
Yeah, hey, Richie, this guy I used to know, and we used to go to the gym together and everything. He would get his dating pool off his divorce cases. He would develop a heck of a dating pool. Hey, Richie, in regard to health insurance, car insurance, and property insurance costs to consumers in the state of Mississippi, we feel like at times that these costs are extreme and high. So I was looking forward to seeing if JFK could change that or do something and get the bad food out of the grocery stores and stuff that consumers consume and pay for. What is the best thing, or how can we drive the cost of health care and car insurance and property insurance costs down to consumers? What is one good way to get these costs down to where people can afford all these insurance costs?
I mean, that's a great question. I wish I knew the answer to it, to be honest with you. I mean, right now, inflation, one of the biggest factors in inflation is insurance. It keeps going up. Insurance companies are still making big profits. And, I mean, I'm not saying that you should cap what they make by any means. No, I'm not saying that. But they used to be so competitive that you could get cheaper rates somewhere else. But they have all raised their rates so much. Or insurance companies have decided not to write insurance in certain states or in certain kind of plans. So it's become very difficult. And I don't know the right answer. I mean, I don't know if the government needs to get involved. I don't know if that's the right answer or what needs to happen. But I don't know a good answer to it. Do y'all have any plan? Y'all have any ideas?
Well, one is
guys?
I've always found out that if you shop around, after you've gotten insurance, if you tend to shop around, you've been, accredited, and they kind of like you, they'll adjust around you, and they'll go down. I've seen that deal. Another thing is they're starting to use credit. Mm-hmm. So if your credit score is up, you can tend to get a better rate. And the reason why insurance doesn't have to go down is mandatory that you have it. So the insurance companies passed a policy where, hey, you have to buy this product. If not, it's going to cost you $1,400 every time we stop you.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have very much of an option here. Once they did that, then that's what became a driving force behind the insurance companies can mandate what they want to charge you. Because if you don't have it, you're going to jail or you're getting a ticket. So if we can legislate that certain raises or the amount of coverage, we don't want the policy limits to go down. That's the last thing we want. But we do need some form of, we have an insurance commission. Somebody can write to them and see what the statistics are and what's driving the train and find out why it's going up. Is it that we're having significant more amounts of accidents, or what's driving the train, or are they just trying to keep up with inflation? I just do my research first.
Yeah, I mean, I find it, what's funny, for someone who has a daughter who just got her license 5 weeks ago, she literally took her driver's test when she got her permit, but to get her license, we just walked into the DMV and they handed her a license. I remember when I got my license at 16, which I lived in a different state at the time, I had to take a road test with an officer of the DMV, and I had to parallel park as part of my road test. It just boggles my mind that there is no road test for new drivers. I mean, needless to say, they're not the root cause of all accidents, but I think if you actually had to take a road test would be, a positive step for one thing. And then, although we have mandatory life insurance in the state, 30% of Mississippians drive without it, which of course dries up the cost when you're filing an uninsured motorist claim. So I think if we actually enforced the law, would be a good thing. The last thing we want, like Alvin said, is for the policy limits to go down, because $25,000 is not sufficient today to cover a typical accident where you go to the emergency room and run up a $15,000 or $20,000 bill, which is not you running it up. That's the hospital making sure you're okay. But yeah, it's just a cornucopia of issues that come across there. One is people just need to drive slower. People drive fast. That's one thing. We just all drive way too fast. For sure. Yeah, is where we are with regard to everything going. And I get it. I mean, what Texter just said, hey, the parents have to sign an affidavit. Yes, I signed an affidavit for her, and she'd taken driver's ed at school, and she'd driven a whole lot with us. But I think to put a stranger in the car with her, I mean, and I remember mine, it was a road course that had railroad tracks, had a parallel park, it had a flashing yellow. I mean, and then the other thing is my parents made me take the test in a stick shift car, not an automatic as well. I mean, that's what I said. You don't want to get your car stolen today, is buy a stick shift, because 98% of the people aren't going to know how to drive it out there. So it's just an odd mix of a lot of factors that have raised costs across all gammets. Now, I do think our property damage insurance is still cheaper than the state of Florida, or some other, others. But you say it all the time, Richard. Shop around, because there are enough insurance companies that you may be able to save, a little bit of money.
$200-$300.
And that just adds up over time.
Huh.
Yeah.
Hey, Richie, there's still 3 out of 10 drivers with no insurance in the state of Mississippi. Is that, you think, because of cost, or you think that's just a neglect?
I think it's because you don't need insurance for your car to start.
Yeah.
And so people just, if you have to choose between medicine, food, and insurance, you're probably going to pick the medicine and the food. So,
and then some people just are like, I'm judgment proof, so it doesn't really matter.
What are they going to get from me?
Yeah. Can't get blood from a turnip, so what's it matter if I'm in an accident? They're not going to be able to get anything from me, so I'd rather not spend those hundreds of dollars on automobile coverage and pay for liability insurance.
Now, Louisiana is unique. If you come through there and they reasonably believe you don't have insurance, they can take you out of the car right there on the spot and tow your car.
Yep. Well, you're listening to the Schwartz & Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour, and we'll be right back after these messages, and we appreciate the call as always, Bob. Here on the Schwartz & Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour, as we've talked kind of all things around this morning. Mike from Madison circled back to what we talked about in the very beginning, where we talked about William and Mary Law School mistakenly sent the acceptance emails to 410 applicants and said, hey, is it really a contract there? What consideration would the student have in return for the erroneous acceptance letter? I agree. You do pay the application fee, so they have, paid to apply to the law school and so forth. It did look back that they did send a follow-up email very quickly. William and Mary caught their technical issue, and if you actually research that, shockingly, they are not the first law school to send out erroneous acceptance emails, which is interesting.
Why is it named William and Mary?
I'm sure it's after King. It's got to be after King
William
and Queen.
III and Mary II, England's first and only joint sovereigns.
Yep.
There you go.
I actually took my senior prom date to dinner in Williamsburg at Trellis. The restaurant was Trellis. I remember that to this day, is where I took her to dinner there in Colonial Williamsburg at the Trellis restaurant before we drove back. I was like 35 minutes away from home, too, before we drove back to the prom for Kecoughtan High School.
Kecoughtan.
I guarantee you there's no one listening that could, without Googling it, could spell the name of that high school.
It's got some H's or something in there.
Oh, yes.
Throwing you off.
Yeah, it does not
Kind of
spell.
like Natchitoches, Louisiana.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
You got to be from there to say it right.
That's right.
You're going to be told.
Yes.
It's kind of like, what is it? You got Toom Suba. Here. You got tons of them here. Shukalak. Or Sugarlock.
Sugarlock.
Yeah.
Sugarlock.
And
Yep.
all of them. Carrier and all. I mean, there's so many.
Kosciuszko people.
Kosciuszko.
Yeah, I mean, they mispronounce Kosciuszko. Of course, Louisville is Louisville. Yeah. It's not Louisville.
Oh, yeah. You don't make that mistake on air.
That's right.
And then it's not Brookhaven. It's Brookhaven.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to.
It's Lafayette County. It's not Lafayette County. Exactly. So it is interesting, the colloquialisms as you travel across the country.
I love it when people say they try to say Yazoo. You know they're not from around.
Yeah, that's right.
They'll do there'll be a YouTube video on the Witch of Yazoo.
Yeah.
And then it'll be some guy that's doing it randomly, and he's learned the story, and it's always a giveaway when they say Yazoo. Mm-hmm. Like, that ain't right, man. Come on.
Well, it's like the whole thing you see from time to time that'll pop up on social media, because it's a frontage road. To us, it's a frontage road. But I mean, there's so many different,
Frontage.
The frontage road. I'm like, where are you going?
That's right. That's like you're going to Target for shopping instead of
I had a
Target.
friend of mine he was from Oregon, and when he moved down here, he would always say, we're going to take the frontage road. That's not how you say it.
No, that's not. But I mean, I know other people call it an entry road, an access road. I mean, it's, for us, it's the frontage road.
You got Pelahatchie.
Yeah.
Pelahatchie.
Exactly. Yep. It is pretty interesting. So, yep.
There are not many calls today.
Yeah, it is interesting. He says, look up the meaning. Someone texted in and said, look up the meaning of Sugarlock. What I don't know what it means. I'd be curious.
I've done it before. I'm gonna get it for you.
All right, he'll get it for us. So, and Mike did say. So Mike is a lawyer, and we appreciate you listening regularly and texting. And he affirms you, Alvin. He goes, "I got licensed in Louisiana, and I can attest it is significantly more difficult than Mississippi's bar exam."
Sugarlock means beads, a variant from the name of the Choctaw language, Shakalock Creek, which is, I guess they found a bunch of beads there or something.
Interesting. Very interesting. So, question we get, we will talk some actual law here, and biggest question we get all the time, what's my case worth? I mean, 9 out of 10 clients typically are going to say, what is my case worth? I wish I had a whiteboard here because I know we're on the live stream. It's my goal someday to teach a law school seminar class because I have these 5 factors that I go through with every client when they say, what is my case worth? And we go through. First is liability. How'd the wreck happen? Is the other person 100% at fault? Is it 50-50? Is it 80-20? Liability is a big one because the insurance companies are going to try to find anything they can to put part of the fault on you because we have comparative negligence in Mississippi, so they can do that. Especially if you're in pre-litigation, they can just randomly pick a number. Sometimes I think they have a dartboard and they just throw the dart at it and be like, oh, there you go, we hit that one, hit 12. So we're going to say you're 12% at fault today. Is what we've got. The other one comes in is injuries, because this is an interesting one. You can have broken ribs, and I remember we had a guy who worked for us for a number of years before he passed away, and he had not a car wreck, a horse accident where he fell off a horse and he fractured 6 ribs. And I can remember how painful he talked about those rib injuries were, but yet his medical bills were extremely low because he literally went to the emergency room, they diagnosed him with the fractured ribs, and it just took time. Yeah. It took weeks, about 12 weeks for him to recover. So injuries, and then additionally is medical bills. Insurance, that's our big one in Mississippi. How much insurance? $25,000 is our state minimum. Better than Louisiana's.
Yeah, 15, and better than Florida, which is 10.
Yep, but so $25,000 is the minimum here. And unfortunately, that's been decreed by the legislature. And my understanding is about 2 out of every 3 drivers carry the minimum. And unfortunately, that's the whole pot of money you can go after. Because if you're in a wreck, you're not suing. When it comes to liability, you're not suing the insurance company, you're suing the person who actually hit you. So insurance is one. And then this is the one that I think raises the most question. Venue. 82 counties in Mississippi. And literally the insurance companies have color-coded maps that have been done by their insurance defense lawyers that code the counties red, green, and yellow. Red being a very plaintiff-friendly county. Yellow kind of meaning it's middle of the road. It could go either way, but generally the guardrails are pretty secure as to what it is. And then green for them are the counties where they realize the history of those. Our juries don't enjoy giving much money on cases. And so it takes all of those to be able to evaluate a case and what it's worth. So when you're getting that question from a client, Alvin, and I know you go through those, what have you determined? What's the best way you've kind of learned to describe to them how?
I describe it as this. First of all, let's see where you are when everything is over. Mm-hmm. And now, let's see what your injuries are. Do you have any long-lasting injuries? What is the doctor's recommendation? How did you treat? Was it sporadic? Was it 6 months after the car accident? Those gaps make a difference. Those are the things that we look at. And then finally, I tend to do what a lot of us do now. I tend to look. We have books that show what people have been getting in that particular venue for that particular type of injury. And I try and maximize that. If like I showed one guy broken ribs, 49 of the 50 cases got somewhere, the max was 31,000. We had 48,000 on the table. Yep. Sir, this is way above what they've normally been given. And that was based upon the circumstances and the facts that this guy I could prove the guy was driving a little too fast. He was inattentive. A jury might not like him. And, he was a bit of a donkey. So that's what brought it up to a higher level. But that doesn't mean that we're going to get past that. And a lot of clients just pick numbers based on commercials. Every case is not $1 million case. When you see millions of dollars passed around, there are significant and catastrophic injuries go to that. And most people don't want their case to be worth $1 million.
Correct.
Because that's probably going to just cover your future medical treatment and the things you need to get by daily and manage your house and change the way your house looks and modifications. So it's a myriad of things that go on with this. Like he says, contribution. Some people don't have insurance. And a lot of us don't have UM insurance, which is uninsured motorists. And a lot of people don't want to use their UM, and they don't understand. You bought that. It's a separate purchase. Nobody's going to raise your premium for using your UM. It's like going to Kroger's, buying your groceries, and then leaving them in the basket at the store.
It's a great way to describe it.
So trust your lawyer, listen to your lawyer, and trust me, we are fighting for you. We are trying to maximize your case. We've lowered our fees if we don't get more than you. We've adjusted everything, and this is what we do. This is what we do every day. And I will put my 25 years of practicing law against anybody's Google search.
Yeah. And thankfully, the 25,000 is much better than the 10,000 policy limits
that it used to be.
That there used to be, a number of years ago. I mean, but I get it. People understand. You get the rare occasions. I know we're about to go to break where unfortunately someone's hurt worse than the amount of policy limits, and then you hit the nail on the head. We'll start working to get their medical bills reduced. We're going to do everything we can to maximize that recovery for you. And just because Lance's cousin's sister's friend got X, that doesn't mean your case is worth X, because each case is unique on the merits.
Treat each case like you would your child. Some children are tall, some are small, some are blonde hair, some have blue eyes. They're all different.
Yep.
And your case, and we treat it as an individual case.
Yep.
And remember that you are a specific individual that we're concerned about, that we care about, and we want to maximize your case.
And we'll be right back after these messages here on the Schwartz & Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour. Schwartz & Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour as we see what our condition is.
You know who sang that?
First edition.
Who was the lead singer?
No clue.
Come on, man. The roaster himself.
I know who it is. It's oh gosh, the country singer.
The roaster himself. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I can't
Kenny
remember his name
Rogers.
right now.
Kenny Rogers.
Kenny
He
Rogers.
was a
Right.
hipster before he was a countryman.
That is fine. I would not have known
I was
that.
going to ask Alvin if he knew who that was.
Yeah, that's right. That's awesome. So that is great. You've played some good music today. But, well, Alvin is also
Hey.
Go ahead, Richard.
I was going to tell Alvin, there's one change that happened in Louisiana, a big change on statute of limitations.
Yeah, 2 years now.
Talk about that.
Yeah, the statute of limitation
2 years
changed
from
from
what
1 year
day?
to
From when
2
did it
years
begin?
from the day of the accident. And the reason being is
And when does that go into effect?
that went into effect back in July of 2024.
Okay.
So it made a big difference. What was happening is people weren't being, they were filing too many lawsuits. It was just an overabundance with people trying to treat, at $900 a lawsuit, the courts were getting backed up. So they moved it out and gave more people time to negotiate them, because it used to be 15 days to answer a complaint, 15 days to answer discovery. And then they tried the little $50,000. But see, in Louisiana, you can go directly in front of a judge if it's less than $50,000. So your case can be tried and heard. They limit the amount of witnesses. And, you don't have to have the doctor come in and testify. The judges reads the doctor. You depose the doctor. The judges reads the doctor's depositions and everything 2 days before. So when you come into court, he already knows what the doctor says, and he can hear both sides. If you've got an expert, they've got an expert. He's read them, and he's made a decision on which expert he's going to go with, and the case is done. So,
and then you're also our resident motorcycle.
Yeah.
In the past, not as much now, but you were the big motorcycle guy in the firm.
Yeah, I love the motorcycle accidents because of the fact that people don't take motorcycle people serious. And I'm an advocate of motorcycle enthusiasm and riding and the freedom that they allow. But the motorcyclists have to accept responsibility as well as the people. And people don't understand that you have to look out for them and they have to look out for you. And everybody has to be in a defensive mindset. And everybody has to be in respect. Like my dad told me, the first thing he told me when I was learning how to drive, he said, yield to the biggest vehicle. Mm-hmm. Okay? You are not going to be the 18-wheeler. Yep. Okay? So if you're in a little Mustang and you get hit by an 18-wheeler, game over for you. So I think if everybody does that and everybody slows down and everybody gives people mutual respect and space, it'll cause a lot of less accidents, and people check your vehicles. That is one of the biggest things in Mississippi about accidents, like we find out later, is a lot of people have bald tires. You know, I had an accident. I didn't know that you could tell the date when that tire was produced. I got a couple of classic cars. I had a tire on there that was put on there and was made in 2006. And then I wondered why the tire blew out on the highway when I got to going 80 miles an hour.
Yep.
So check your dates on those tires when you buy those cars, especially if it's a used car.
All right. You said we got a call, Lance?
Yes, sir. Let's roll. I told him we didn't have much time, so he's ready to fire.
Good morning.
Hey, morning. I want to ask you, like, if y'all was an HVAC company and I call you all out, tell you all what I wanted and what my system wasn't doing, and you recommend me to do this and that, and run the bill up to about $5,000, and they come in and do the work, and after they leave in a week or so, I find out it's just like it was when they came.
Yeah, so if that could be fraud. I mean, if they didn't perform the work that you contracted them and paid them to do, is actually fraud on their part, which would give you the right to pursue action against them, because you entered into a contract. When you said, hey, I need you to, I'm having an issue with my HVAC, they come in and diagnose it and said, this is what we're going to do, this is what it's going to cost, and you agree to it, you are entering into a contract with them to perform certain work. So if they didn't perform the work but took the money, you absolutely have a cause of action against that business.
But I think the first thing you need to do is notify them.
Yeah, because
have you notified them?
They recommend different things to do. We did it, and it's still the same way it was before they got here.
But have you notified them that it didn't work?
Several times.
Okay.
Also,
not by phone. I'm saying, have you actually sent them a certified letter?
Yep.
You gotta have some proof. Have you sent them any type of letter, proof?
Yeah, you want to have a paper trail. So email, send them a letter saying you understand that you're still having the same issues, and then ultimately you're going to need a business attorney to be able to pursue action against them. So we appreciate you listening to the Schwartz and Associates Injury Lawyers Legal Power Hour. We hope you have a safe and healthy week, and if you need us, we're at 601 or 662-988-8888. Just one call away. One call, that's all. Take care and have a great day.